Hi, David Armstrong here with another edition of my Musical Theater Factory vlog. And today I'm going to talk about a very exciting event coming up just within a few short days, and that is the Tony Awards. I'll be going to New York along with Bernie Griffin, our managing director, and Bill Barry, who's already in New York directing First Date for Broadway. So we'll be going to Radio City Music Hall on Sunday, June 9th, to attend the Tony Awards, which is always exciting, but even more exciting when we have shows that originated here at the Fifth Avenue Theater in contention for awards. And we do again this year. Let's start with Best Musical, which is so exciting. There are 4 nominees for Best Musical, and the most exciting one to us, of course, is A Christmas Story, which is also nominated for Tony Awards for Best Score and Best Book. And of course, that's a show that started right here at the Fifth Avenue just a few years ago, and this past holiday season became one of the biggest hits of the Broadway season this year. Although, of course, it had a limited run because it's a holiday show. But it's so thrilling to see it nominated. There's going to be a big production number with the cast on the Tony Awards broadcast, and that number is conducted by our own Ian Eisendrath, who's there in New York right now putting together that number for the Tony Awards, and who, of course, musical directed the show on Broadway. So that's just thrilling. We have some connection to some other people in those categories as well. Kinky Boots is also up for Best Musical, and that's produced by Hal Luftig, who's a great friend of the Fifth Avenue. We've worked with him on Catch Me If You Can, and also he was part of our team that helped us put the world premiere together of First Date. Also, Kinky Boots has a book that's been nominated for a Tony Award, and it's by Harvey Fierstein. And of course, Harvey starred in the very first of our wave of new musicals that we developed here at the Fifth Avenue and went on to Broadway. Harvey was the star of Hairspray. And as you may know, we're just next week, we'll be doing the 10th anniversary production in concert with the Seattle Men's Chorus of Hairspray, and it's the 10th anniversary of it winning the Tony Award. So it's exactly 10 years, almost to the week, after it won the Tony Award, and just 1 year before that it had its world premiere here at the Fifth Avenue Theater. And we've got connections in other categories as well. The other thrilling one for us is Carolee Carmello, who is nominated for Outstanding Performance by a Leading Actress in a Musical for her performance in Scandalous, which started right here at the Fifth Avenue just last year as Saving Amy, with Carolee in the title role playing Amy Semple McPherson, the great evangelist. And I had the privilege and the pleasure of directing that show on Broadway earlier this year, and it is so thrilling to see Carolee acknowledged in this way. It was truly, if you saw the show here, you know it was one of the most staggering performances you've ever seen. It got even better on Broadway, and I think she has a really good chance of winning. We'll knock on wood and keep our fingers crossed for Carolee. So those are the 2 big awards. Excuse me. But there's some great other people who you know from our stage. Terrence Mann, who a few years ago played the captain in The Sound of Music for us in a really memorable production of that. He is nominated this year as featured actor in a musical for his performance in Pippin. Keala Settle, who's been on our stage twice. You saw her when Hairspray came back on its national tour a few years after it premiered here. She was Tracy in that production. And then she was just here a few years ago as Bloody Mary in the national tour of South Pacific. She is an incredibly talented woman and just a force of nature as well. She was nominated this year for her performance in Hands on the Hard Body. Also, David Rockwell, the set designer, is nominated for 2 Tonys this year, both for play and for musical for Kinky Boots. And David's work has been seen on our stage both in the original production of Hairspray and in Catch Me If You Can. And not to be left out, is the costume designer Greg Barnes, who is a great favorite of the Fifth Avenue. It's been done many shows here, most recently Aladdin, but also all the way back to my first show at the Fifth Avenue, The Secret Garden. He did Mame. He is a brilliant, amazing costume designer, and he's nominated for a Tony Award for Kinky Boots as well. And then, not to be left out, Jerry Mitchell, who is the director and the choreographer of Kinky Boots, and he's nominated for 2 Tonys for direction and choreography. and he's spent a lot of time here at the Fifth, both as the choreographer of Hairspray and the choreographer of Catch Me If You Can. So Hairspray is really coming up. It seems sort of, it's very much in the 10th anniversary mode, as a lot of the alumni from Hairspray are now being nominated for Tony Awards this year for Kinky Boots and other shows. The last person I'll mention is Danny Trube, who is the orchestrator for the Broadway production of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. His orchestrations on it are truly beautiful, and he worked with us just a few years ago on the orchestrations for Aladdin. So that's my rundown of the Tonys. Make sure to tune in. It should be a fun night, and it's always exciting to have the Fifth Avenue celebrated on Broadway. Thank you so much. See you next time.